again for joining us this afternoon for the first of a three-part series that was designed by an intern that was working in our alumni division, a veteran student who thought it would benefit veterans to come together and talk about their experiences while here and after graduation. And so this is just the first of the series called What I Wish I Would Have Known Before Graduation. Just a couple of housekeeping things real quick, maybe. It's not letting, oh, there it goes. All right, so Claire, who is on with us from the Career Center, is kind of, I told everybody she's kind of like the wizard in the Wizard of Oz. She's the person behind the curtain doing all the logistics. And so she's muting everybody as you come in. I would ask you all just to temporarily turn your cameras off so that way our speakers can be on our screens as we're watching this. And if you have any technical issues, Claire is there. Just stick it in the chat if you have any issues. At any point during this, you can, I would ask you to type in what year you graduated, and if you're a veteran, what branch you served in, and are you in the job now that you thought you would be in before you graduated? Because our folks that are in our lineup today are going to be watching that and hopefully can gear some of their answers towards that. Okay, so on our panel today, we have Jason Burks, who graduated with his MBA in 2020 and is the owner of Veteran Mentors LLC. We have Jennifer Kilborn, who graduated with her MBA in 2019 and is a contract manager at Vector Systems, and Tiffany Phillips, who graduated with an MPA in 2015 and is a Security Cooperation Integration Deputy at NORAD US Northcom. That's a mouthful. So, and Chris hasn't jumped on yet, but we're hoping he will shortly. And if we do, we'll definitely. What's that? Is he in? Not yet?
I don't think so.
Okay. That is okay. All right, so we are just going to jump straight into the questions. And this one, we're going to start with Jason. Jason, okay, I couldn't get it to go, and now I'm all over the place. All right, Jason, how does your degree translate to your current position, and how does your military training translate to your current position?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Right on. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Jason, and that's a great question to start off with, and there's no real easy answer to that. But I have to say that the MOS specific skills that I learned in the military, it has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. Absolutely nothing, and that's okay. However, the military experience that a lot of employers look for is just a big part of the loyalty, the discipline, the on-timeness, to know if you can navigate things under pressure. That's like a cornerstone of everything. And in combination with a degree, which I just finished. I mean, the ink's not even dry yet on my diploma. I mean, I just finished, right? But that helps because it shows that you can complete a project. Very beneficial. And I think that the most important thing with my current position is that it's always about growth. It's always about doing something further and doing something else down the line. So as far as the current position, it's also looking at things as far as a perspective of a future position on where you see yourself. And all these things will come together magically. Believe me, magically in the end, when you're finished. It'll come together somehow, some way for everyone here. But it translates great. Those two together, you're winning. And it'll be very beneficial to all.
Great. Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome.
All right, Tiffany, same question.
So I'm actually in complete agreement with Jason. I think the biggest thing is that you complete your degree and that you can check that block that you were in the military. So quite literally, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now if I wasn't able to claim veterans preference, because I'm a federal employee now. And that 5-point veteran preference opened up the possibility to me having this position. And now being the hiring authority on several hiring panels, I realize how difficult it is to bring in non-veterans into federal service. So you all, just by being able to check that block, have an incredible leg up on people who are trying to get federal employment. So it's not so much the military training that translated in my current position, but certainly being a veteran helped that. It also helps just to understand the culture. To operate in the federal system is very helpful to have that military background. But I was intel when I was in the military, and I used to focus on counter drug kind of in my early years, and looking specifically at Mexico as kind of like as my threat, right? And now I do security cooperation with the Mexican military on how to kind of overcome some of the challenges that they're facing from the counter drug threat. So it was kind of neat to have that correlation, but that's really kind of almost happenstance. And then for my degree, the same thing. It was very important that I had a degree and that I was able to check that block. But when I did select my master's, I selected a master's in public administration purely because I was a government bureaucrat. And I didn't even know that a degree existed before I explored options for my master's. And so it fit in perfectly. And it's really helped me to progress within the federal system. And so I've gotten a promotion since acquiring my master's, and even able to incorporate elements of my capstone project into my current position. So it's really been a really neat fit.
All right, thanks for sharing that, Tiffany. All right, Jennifer, same question.
Jennifer, I think you might be muted.
Sorry, can you hear me? Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Sorry, hope you can all hear me now. So as I was saying, my MBA actually helped me get into the position that I'm in now. I worked previously for the same employer, and really immediately, almost immediately after graduation and getting my MBA, I was promoted to the position that I'm in now. And I actually do use much of what I learned pretty often. So as a contracts manager specifically assigned to business development, I often find myself considering things that I learned, like marketing principles, accounting and finance practices, and other considerations. Oh, is there a question? Sorry. And so my job is really to balance, the winning sales strategy with the ability to execute and make money after we win a contract. And all of those things that I learned in my MBA come into play when I'm advising both the sales and the operations teams, and they have two very different goals. As far as my military training, I've been able to find success in my role and in all the roles I've held before this one, because I was taught to effectively manage tasks and lead people. Also, in the world of contracts and proposals, there's a lot of pressure to manage deadlines in a very fast-paced environment. So in the military, I was a weapons director, and having to control multiple aircraft in an airspace over a war zone has definitely helped me to deal with that stress. It's definitely a different kind of stress, but it's honestly nothing to me because of what I learned in the military. So both my MBA and my military training really helped me, leverage my skills in the position that I'm in now.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Jennifer. That's fantastic. All right, question number 2. We'll start with Tiffany. How did you prepare for your first civilian position after the military and college?
So for my first civilian position after the military, it was actually the easiest transition ever, because I was in Iraq, deployed for my last tour, and I was working as an analyst, and I immediately went home, got out of the military and went back on a contract working almost literally in the same building, doing the exact same job, of course, with a lot less responsibility because I had no troops. So, and getting, of course, paid a lot more to do it. So that was the easiest transition ever because I was basically doing the same job and just wearing a different uniform and not having to carry a weapon. But then my first position after college, I mentioned that when I was pursuing my master's, that I was already working for the same organization. But certainly my master's, and especially working some of the networks that I built and working on my capstone project, really set me up for promotion within that organization. And I really feel strongly that, I can't know what would have happened had I not gone on and gotten my master's, but I know that it played heavily into me being considered for that position. So I had a fairly easy transition out of the military, but that's because I never really left it behind in that context. But then once I really was in a more civilian context, the degree is what helped me, propel me forward.
Great. All right, Jennifer, same question. How did you prepare for your first civilian position after the military and college?
So I was medically separated from the Air Force at my 10-year mark. And so the whole process happened really quickly. So I didn't have a ton of time to prepare for my first civilian position. I didn't know, what my career field or my career path would look like. And the job that I did in the military really didn't translate into any civilian position. And because of these constraints, I really relied on my network and ended up getting a job as a proposal specialist for a really small business that was owned by a family friend. I continued to work toward my undergraduate degree while also just learning as much as I could about contracting and business development. Doing all of that definitely helped me identify the career path I wanted to take and really helped me prepare, for bigger roles. Then I was hesitant to even begin a graduate program because I knew, it would be really difficult to balance, a full-time job, school, and I have 2 sons. And so balancing all of that would be really difficult, but I knew that getting my MBA is something that I would have to do to, get me in the position that I'm in now and get me promoted in my field or in the field that I chose after the military. I would say the best way to prepare is to manage your expectations. Expect that you may have to start in an entry-level position. Expect that it's going to take hard work to move up, and really important, expect that the progress in your career, at least in the private sector, is dictated by you. When I was separated from the Air Force, I was just selected for Master Sergeant, so I was already leading teams. I had to really humble myself and realize that the entry-level position that I was offered was necessary for me to carve out my new path. So I made sure that I worked hard and that I demonstrated the skills that I learned in the military, while also just showing my willingness to constantly learn, which allowed me to go from making $13 an hour, right out of the military, to making 6 figures in a matter of 3 years or so. So yeah, managing expectations is definitely key to finding the right position.
All right, Jason.
Hey, Jennifer.
To you.
Jennifer, I really love what you just said there. The whole managing expectations and balancing. I love it. For me, it was 2 different things. I mean, there was my first civilian position, and then there was another position after college, which I'm still looking forward to. And this is just to give you different perspective. I got out 16 years, didn't make 20, but when I got out, it was like, oh shoot, what am I going to do? I need to work. And so I had a job working as an assistant manager at Sam's Club, doing retail management, and not the best thing for me. But I did it and I got used to it. And I think that's what Jennifer said about managing expectations, where that came into play. But the best advice I can give here, as far as preparing for a civilian position, is to have your resume reviewed by as many services provided to as possible. Use LinkedIn Learning to learn applicable skills for the roles that you want. Of course, manage those expectations. Work on your personal branding, which is, I think, is another webinar that's coming up, personal branding. But that's very important. It's so underrated. You got to know how to speak your accomplishments in a polished way. Um, and, you know, you got to really tune into yourself so that whatever you're going for, you can get it. And always remember to keep on climbing upward and upward and upward. Build on that confidence. It's not easy, and I would not be able to do it without help. And that's probably the most important lesson, is to not be afraid to humble yourself. Again, another point that Jennifer made is, you know, humble yourself and don't be afraid to take something. Things will lead up to something better as long as your heart's in the right place. And, you know, I have a lot of help. There's someone in this chat room right now that's helped me out tremendously. I won't call by name, but that and being grateful. Just be grateful for where you are, and if you have to take a role that's less becoming, things will work out in some time.
All right, Jason, that's great. All right, so question number 3, we'll start with Jennifer. What should veterans know before graduation to be successful?
Say that they should be aware of the programs that are available within different companies, within UCCS, within the VA. There are a lot of programs that help veterans to find meaningful careers post-service. So my company, for example, participates in Hire Our Heroes. And I know that there are a lot of programs like that with other companies. And so many of these internships are actually paid, and you really learn valuable lessons about working in industry. Even the non-paying internships are really, really valuable. I've seen, you know, in the Hire Our Heroes program that my company participates in, I've seen a lot of the people that come through on those internships become actual permanent employees. And, you know, Vectrus is a fantastic company to work for, and there are so many other resources out there. There's also things like Voc Rehab. There's the DoD Skills Bridge program for people, you know, who are still serving but might be getting out soon, and so many other resources. So I think that being aware of these programs and then actually taking advantage of them is really important for veterans.
All right, thanks, Jennifer. Tiffany, same question. What should veterans be aware of before graduation to be successful?
So I'll build a little bit on what Jennifer said. One thing that I didn't dial into until long after graduation was the veteran network, especially in Colorado Springs. You have so many valuable resources that you can link into as a veteran. And I would say I'd let you explore those that are relevant to you, but then I'd also encourage you to see those as not only an opportunity for what their mission set is, but broaden your informal network as much as you can. So just sitting in and attending this webinar, you now have at least 3 people that you know in 3 very different career fields that you could easily reach out to that are now in your informal network. And you could say, hey, Jennifer, I'm really interested in contracting. Or, hey, Jason, I'm interested in supporting veteran services. Or, Tiffany, I want federal employment. You've just expanded your network and made yourself more marketable by doing so. So these veteran organizations are really valuable for that. When you join these organizations, when you show up to things like this, make it known that you are on the market, that you're looking for something for employment, and don't take shame in that. I mean, everyone should be looking for opportunity no matter where they are in their career. So own that and put yourself out there. And it doesn't have to be that you establish, you know, long-term friendships with everyone that you come into contact with, but just those simple informal connections through informal networks can really open you up to valuable opportunities, especially from a career perspective. So find those veteran services, and then also use informal networks to find connections and to put yourself out there.
Very well said, Tiffany. And this is Military Town USA, so we have lots of military and veteran folks in the community that want to help us. All right, Jason, same question to you. What should veterans know before graduation to be successful?
I think, well, they already said it all. Tiffany and Jennifer, they said the most important pieces. I mean, it is about networking. It's about broadening your network and using the services available to you and just getting out there. And I guess given the group that we have here today, with veterans, there's dire consequences if you don't complete something. That's what we're used to being around. And so my only thing would be to not let anxiety get the best of you. It is all about the process. It's not just the graduation, then you're ended, then you have all these expectations. And I forget who brought expectations in the beginning, but it's a very valid point. I mean, don't let anxiety get the best of you. If you sincerely want a job and put effort into your resume yourself and you have a goal, I mean, you will get offers, and you just have to network from there. Talk to people, be humble, tell people you need their help. They want to help you. Everyone wants to be a hero. Let them be a hero, and most importantly, get out of your own way. I'm still learning that, but it's great advice that I have to remind myself about every day. Get out of my own way. Don't be anxious. Let things happen.
That is great advice, Jason. Thank you. All right, last question. And Jason, I won't make you go last this time, but I'm going to let Jennifer go first. Looking back, is there anything UCCS could have done differently to support you? And is there anything you wish you would have done differently?
Sure. Okay. So I think that UCCS actually has a fantastic program for vets. Over the course of my MBA, I never had to worry about, my GI Bill paying out, and I was always provided with all the resources I needed, and I knew who to go to. So it was really easy, and the schedules were flexible. I finished my degree in a hybrid format, so some of the classes I was able to take in person, some were online, some were a mix, but that really helped me to balance school with everything else. So to the first question, I really can't think of anything else that UCCS could have done to support me, because I felt well supported throughout my program. And the only thing that I would have done differently, and I am going to emphasize what we just talked about in networking, is really to network more with the people that were going through the MBA program with me, with professors and faculty and UCCS alumni, and everybody that was really available to me. So I'm of the mind that, the most valuable thing, and we'll go back to what we were just talking about, the most valuable thing about going through the MBA program and getting your MBA is the opportunity to network with others from both similar and different backgrounds. And I didn't really prioritize the networking piece. I was just trying to get done and trying to balance everything. But that would be so important and would be helpful for me in the future. So one thing that I do want to recommend, if any of you haven't already read it, but I recommend reading the 20-minute networking meeting, and they have a professional version and a veteran version. So I read the professional version, but the veteran version is really helpful for people, that are trying to find a meaningful career path out of the military. Yeah, definitely read that. It's an easy read, and it really helps you to maximize your networking opportunities without wasting a lot of time, because people are really busy. So that gives a really good perspective and helps you with that and helps you to prioritize that. So yeah, just try to find ways to apply what you're learning, but also really take advantage of the opportunity to network.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. Jason.
Hey, Jennifer, you said that was 20-minute network meeting?
Yep, the 20-minute networking meeting. And again, they have the professional version and then the veteran version.
I'm putting it in the chat because I think that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Easy read.
Awesome. Okay, I don't think that UCCS couldn't have been more supportive. I mean, I agree with Jennifer. I mean, the opportunities are there if you take them, and you just have to take them. But looking back, there's a couple of things I would have did differently. Two things in particular. One thing, I made an amateur mistake, y'all. I did not keep the syllabuses from the beginning portion of my MBA program. And those syllabuses are a gold mine. There's a wealth of treasure within those syllabuses. Why? Because you can put those syllabuses, those are transferable over to your resume. There's a lot of good action words in there that can be used, and it's awesome. I thought it was a mistake in my part. I'm not a very math kind of person. So for accounting and things like that, I didn't do so well with the business degree as well as the more the creative things and the more business strategy things. I love those types of things. But when it came to accounting, I didn't have something to tie into that made the lessons make sense. So if I could go back, I would have had a firm vision of imagining what it is I would apply the lessons to. And it would have helped me a lot more make the lesson plans more real and tangible. And I know there's a lot more mistakes that I made, but yeah, those are the main two.
All right. Thanks, Jason. All right, Tiffany, you want to wrap up this last question for us?
Sure. So UCCS offered me the opportunity to take courses outside of electives outside of my core material. I wasn't necessarily encouraged to do so. That's something that I would suggest. So if UCCS encouraged that, especially with veterans, I think to get after the network piece, just taking one class outside of my school really broadened my network and access to other professors and other students that weren't part of my cohort. So I would strongly suggest that you look at electives that are outside of your school so that you can kind of broaden not only your perspective, but broaden that network that we've mentioned is really important. So that's not really something I would have done different. That's something I would have done the same, but I would encourage UCCS to actually make that recommendation more, I guess, freely to students. And then if the thing that I wish I had done differently is I was a commuter student. I'm sure most of the veterans on here are, and I didn't engage as much with UCCS outside of my academic work as I wish I could have. And it's not so much, it was a time commitment. I work full time. I have 6 kids, my last of which I was pregnant with and had in the program and only missed 2 days of school. So it was a lot at that time, but I really wish I'd made the effort. And then I never reached out to the veteran program outside of just getting my GI Bill benefits. So I wish I had connected more meaningfully with the veteran network at UCCS when I was a student. So I've overcome that and made up for it now that I'm an alumni.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Tiffany. All right, so now we're going to open it up to some Q&A, and I put a little thing in the chat. You can either turn your mic on and ask a question, or you can type it in the chat and I can facilitate that. But do you have any questions for Tiffany or Jason or Jennifer? Other than, is Jason's background real? And the answer is what, Jason?
Absolutely.
It is real. He will even move into that space if we need him to prove it.
This is a tandem garage. I recreated it.
No questions? We're letting him off so easy. All right. Here's a question, and any of you can answer this, any of our panelists. What thoughts do you have about engaging at UCCS as UCCS alumni?
I would say do it, definitely. As I mentioned, I didn't engage as much when I was a student. I've been engaging much more as an alumni. There's been so many great opportunities that have opened up to me because I've kept up with the program. I've stayed on the board for the student advisory board and alumni advisory board for my program, and that's been really valuable. It helps you continue to have that network that we talked that is so important.
Yeah, I would agree. My whole thought processes about engaging with the alumni or UCCS after graduation is, I think in terms of like Jim Carrey and Yes Man, to where you just have to say yes to everything. Like if you get an opportunity, just say yes, just say yes, just do it, just yes, 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 because you never know where you're going to meet opportunity. And you know, you got to you're a veteran. You know, anyone that's on here is like, well, most people are likely veterans, and you're going to have this education piece. The rest is just meeting opportunity. So you say yes to as many things as you can, even though it may not offer an immediate payout. Later on down the line, you know, that network is going to be very valuable.
Yep, I agree with both. Oh, sorry, I was having trouble. Yeah, I agree with both of them. I think that as a UCCS alumni, I just like to help people because I know what it's like, to try to find meaningful employment after all you knew was the military, right? Because I mean, most of us went in pretty young. I was 19, so when I got out, I was like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I am 29 years old, right? So I just as an alumni, I like to engage because I want to help people. I want them to find meaningful work and happiness after the military, because even if you do 20 years, you have a long time to go and a long career to go in your second life. And you don't want to be miserable in that. So I like helping, but as a student, you should engage with UCCS alumni just for the connectedness, right? So we will want to help you just because you go to UCCS. We'll be like, hey, we went to UCCS and we loved it and it's great and it's awesome. So there's a connection, and we just really want to help you guys because of that that piece that connects us.
All right, thanks guys. Those are fantastic input. Any other questions? Last chance for questions before we wrap this up. I'm cognizant of everybody's time and know it's 5 o'clock and traffic is starting to build up if you are on campus or at work right now. Any other questions? So just some resources and takeaways that we want to share with everybody. As an alumni, of course, you are, according to Claire, you can use UCCS Career Services for infinity, which is a long time. So come back to UCCS if you need their help. They're here for you. Also, Handshake is available to you through Career Services. Of course, some of our veteran partners in the community include Mount Carmel Veteran Service Center, who help with transition and employment, the Veteran Integration Program, and also Benefits and Resources, Homefront Military Network, with emergency financial assistance. And then, of course, the Pikes Peak Workforce Center, a great partner to all of us in the community for hiring events, job training, career planning. And of course, Jen Carlson's on there and said she wants me to do a shameless plug. You can drop $5 by my office later. The Wounded Warrior Project is another great resource, especially for our post 9/11 veterans who need assistance. All right, so this is just part one of our 3-part series. Our next one is October 14th at 4:30 p.m. And that's all about personal branding.
Yeah,
And why underselling yourself.
I'm on a teleconference.
Oh. And then November 11th, which is Veterans Day, is all about paying it forward, how to stay engaged after graduation. And so I would encourage you to jump on these as well. There's a lot of planning that's gone in behind these. It's a great information, and we hope to see you all there. And finally, I want to thank Jason and Tiffany and Jennifer today for their time. They took time out of their day to be here with us today and share their experiences with our staff and our veteran alumni. And we can't thank you guys enough for being a part of this. And so thanks so much for being here today. And we'll see you on October 14th at 4:30 for personal branding. Take care, everybody.